feeling chronic loneliness had the same health implications as smokers have.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
1 in 2 Americans report feeling lonely.
We now have this cultural shift towards, I can do bad all by myself.
Yes.
And baby, you're lonely. What I wanted to share was this idea of how we then create community.
Remember that the idea is it's not to impress, it's to connect.
You have to be the person that says hello and that commits to the vulnerable action of surrendering to community.
When you want something, you put the effort in.
Share the power of hello.
If you don't got friends after this, you don't want them, okay?
You want to make more money? You are in the right place. Welcome to the Hello 7 podcast. That's 7 as in 7 figures. I'm your host, Rachel Rodgers.
Hello, and welcome back to the Hello 7 podcast. Today, I am going to teach you how to make some friends, okay? And in order to help you do that, I brought along my nearest and dearest friends, Susan Hyatt and Robert Hartwell.
Well, hello there.
Hello.
Hi, gorgeous.
We're going to have a good time, y'all. Okay, so let's talk about why this is the topic of the day. Because apparently adults don't know how to make friends.
Not anymore.
That part. Yeah.
And there's a loneliness epidemic happening in the U.S. and in other places in the world too, but it is more serious in the U.S. And I actually, we read a stat earlier that 1 in 2 Americans report feeling lonely. Like more often than not, they are feeling lonely. So that means, right, like they don't have community, they don't have deep friendships. Yeah. And this is critical to our happiness.
Yeah, and our health.
Correct. Exactly. And in fact, yes, you looked up a stat.
Yeah, the stat said that feeling chronic loneliness had the same health implications as smokers have.
Wow.
My God.
Yes. So it's like you being lonely all the time is as bad as if you were smoking your whole life. Like that's how dangerous it is to your health and your lifespan. Like this is serious business. So tell me, like, why do you think that is? Robert, what do you think?
I think one of the first things is our cultural shift towards individualism, right? Like there's this idea that in collective cultures, and for those of y'all that don't know, I'm a double Libra, okay? So we're about balance and harmony, right?
Yes.
But we now have this cultural shift towards, I can do bad all by myself.
Yes.
And baby, you're lonely. You are lonely. Like your life is sad, but we're here to help you today. But I really do think that everyone is like, I need to be in this thing for myself. And we see it even in how we create home, right? This individual idea of, I'm going to live in a studio by myself versus collective cultures. People are living intergenerationally.
Yes.
And here we're just siloed with ourselves and with our own little groups. And I think that's one thing that makes the three of our us very special is we have 3 different age groups.
Yes.
We're single. We're married. You've got kids at home. You and Scott are empty nesters. I'm at Hartwell House with me and me. But it is this whole thing of I need to be by myself and I need to do this thing for me. And we are so committed to ourselves that we are losing, I think, the magic and the glue of life, which is our community.
Correct. I completely agree. And I think that we've lost the balance of like knowing how to like go after your goals, go after like what you want to accomplish for yourself. But you can take people along with you, right? Like you don't have to be so focused on yourself that there's no room for anybody else.
And it's easier with other people.
Hello?
Like period. There are so many things that I say this with my full chest, that I would not have journeyed through and got to the finish line in my life if I didn't have the 2 of you. If I didn't have the groups of friends that I make a consistent effort to show up for.
Yes.
You can't do this shit by yourself.
Right. I agree. And it's much faster and much more enjoyable with your homies.
Yes.
Okay?
That part.
What's the other reason that you think people, like there's this loneliness epidemic going on? If you enjoyed what you heard in this episode, then you are going to love my course, We Should All Be Millionaires. It is going to help you level up your money mindset and take specific actions that will allow you to grow your money, grow your business, and have more success and joy while you do it. I am giving you the first 2 lessons of this course completely for free just for being a subscriber. So all you need to do, go to hello7.co/lessons and you will get those 2 free lessons of We Should All Be Millionaires. The lessons come with videos, worksheets to help you take immediate action. You also get access to a community of people who have also joined to get these free lessons. So all you have to do is go to hello7.co/lessons to download them now.
Well, there's an increase in a lack of face-to-face interaction. So with the rise of technology, social media, which we all love,
Right.
and I know many of you watching will say, but that helps me stay connected to people. And for those of you who are in our neurospicy communities and want to push back on this, when I suggest that you put your phone down, that you take a break from social media, yes, and I understand that for many people, it is a lifesaver. And I use it every single day. In fact, of the 3 of us, I think I'm probably the most addicted to social media.
Agreed.
And also I understand that the lack of face-to-face interaction, remote working, and the rise of technology has isolated us. And that leads to piling onto the rise in individualism too. As a Taurus, I am the queen of I can do it myself.
Yes.
And all by myself. I'm going to push this boulder up a hill and don't y'all worry.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it done. Right.
She a muscle mommy.
And because I am a muscle mommy. But, right, the gym is a place for community for me, even though people in my gym will watch this and say, she don't talk to nobody. Okay, she puts those headphones on and glares at everybody. Get off my bench. But in all reality, right, we need places to go, places where we can go to church or go to the gym or go to a grill out. And I think the lack of face-to-face interaction has created a rise in loneliness in all of us.
Correct. And I think we love home, and we work, so many of us work remotely now, but I love home too. I love sitting on my couch and chilling, but also after I do that for 2 days, I'm bored, you know, if I do that Friday and Saturday, by Sunday, I'm like, where are we going? Like, we need something to do. You know?
And I'm not bored. Like, I could hermit. Listen.
Yes, she can.
I will Instacart, Grubhub. Everybody bring my services to me. I don't need nothing outside this home. But I do.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'll get in a mood. I'm like, I need to talk to people.
Yes, for real. One of the other reasons that they said is the cause of our loneliness epidemic is urban isolation and having more transient lifestyles. So we can live in cities with millions of people and not know any of them, not be able to go deep with any of them. So like you're like in your apartment surrounded by people, but actually don't have anyone around you that is like a good friend. Like you don't know your neighbors. Right. So like you can't just like knock on their door for eggs or be like, oh, come over for wine. Right. Like you can, but we're not doing that.
Right.
And then the other thing is transient lifestyles. And I know a thing or two about that because I have lived all over.
Yes, you have. Oh my gosh, you've lived in more places than anybody I know.
You've been moving, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have lived in California, Arizona, South Dakota, New York, New Jersey, probably some other places, right? Like I have North Carolina, like
Puerto Rico.
Yes. And even when I've lived in one city, I've moved. And even when you move in a city, you can move 15 minutes away and it completely changes the dynamic of like who you have as community and how easy it is to get together with them. And so what I have noticed is the lack. I used to think like, oh, I need to move to a place where my people are. And I would like move to find my people, right? And then I'd move there and still didn't find my people. And then I realized like, oh, you actually have to park somewhere and commit to a place and then actually put effort into like finding people. Like every time I've moved, like now I've moved enough that I know it takes 2 years to build community.
Yeah.
To build the beginnings of your community where you're like, okay, I found my people, right? Like I've got my different pockets of friends locally and now we're getting together and stuff. They still might not be like a deep close friend yet, right?
Yeah.
But at least I know some people.
Yeah.
That takes 2 years, okay? I've done this enough that I know it takes 2 years. Okay. So, and I have kids, right? So like kids help you build community because they're going to build community automatically, right? Like they're going to have their friends at school. They're going to have their friends at the extracurriculars. They're going to meet friends at the playground. and they're just like instantly friends. And then the people that they become friends with, their parents, like you wind up messaging them and being like setting up play dates and all of that. And that creates community. So like that becomes people that you have something in common with. You have children of the same age or whatever, you know?
Or not. Listen. I'll be like, that's a nice little boy. You play with him, but I'm not hanging out with her.
And sometimes they're not your people.
They're not.
That's real.
But kids do help because they force you to talk to people.
Exactly. So these are some of the reasons why you might be experiencing loneliness, right? And, you know, I think everyone experiences loneliness sometimes.
Absolutely.
But like finding like local community is really important. Having a community, having close friendships is like literally important to your health. I remember the Blue Zone documentary.
Yes.
That came out
Yes.
on Netflix.
Yes.
I loved it too. And that was the thing that was in common. Like
That was the biggest thing all of them had in
Yes.
common was that you had a squad of people. Like 5 people, wasn't it? 4 or 5 people
Yes.
that don't have to be family members.
correct.
Right.
That you know well, that like know you well, that you could rely on. And it was like seen again and again in all these different locations in
Yeah.
Japan. I mean, they were like 80 and 90 years old and they had their squad. Okay.
Correct.
These cute little elderly women, right? And like they were living their best lives, right? They were getting together, dancing together, having fun.
Because they're deciding.
Yes.
Right? They're like deciding, I'm not going to be a lonely, I'm not going to be a lonely person.
Yes.
Like I'm going to show up.
Right. Exactly.
I love them.
Me too.
Goals.
So, and part of the reason why, you know, obviously I asked my friends to come here to talk about this is because the reactions that people have to us wherever we go.
Yeah.
Like literally we could just be walking down the street and people will be commenting like on us being together and being like, whatever y'all are smoking, I want some of that.
Just so you're aware, we do not do drugs. Okay.
We're high off friendship. Okay. Literally. Okay.
Right. And online, people are always commenting on like, wow, my goals for this year. Right now, everyone's talking about New Year's resolutions. My goal is to develop a friendship like the 3 of you have.
Yes.
And it's genuine and it's a decade or more old. I don't know how long it's been.
This is not a fake friendship. And I think I've talked about this before, but like there are some of the people that y'all follow online that like have like their squad, they're fake. I'm not gonna name names, but they're fake.
But it's not us. Okay.
It's not us. Okay. This is actually genuine. Like we spent Thanksgiving together.
Yeah.
You know? At Robert's house, at Hartwell House, and like we vacationed together.
They were on my boat.
Exactly.
They came to
Yeah.
Kentucky Lake, and if that's not friendship,
You know that's like
I don't know what.
these black people in Kentucky Lake.
Hello?
I mean,
Listen.
and y'all had a good time, correct?
We really
did have a good
did.
time.
We
I can't
stand
even front.
corrected.
Yeah.
We
See?
stand corrected,
It's
friend.
nice.
We hear you. We
Okay,
see you.
it's not Lake Como, but
I know.
But you know what it'll do?
It did the job. Okay. It did the job. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, my digestive tract was
What?
so runt after that trip.
Let me
Baby,
fried chicken barbecue biscuits didn't do you right.
honey.
Miss Patty's Mile
Miss
High
Patty's-
dessert didn't do you right.
That mess of food.
Listen, the just the serving size was interesting. You
Yes.
know, just fascinating.
It's different.
We
It's
go
different.
all in, okay? No half-ass nothing around here.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times that we literally have all flown around the country for
Correct.
each other.
And the world.
Yeah.
yes,
The world.
literally.
But that's how it started,
Yes.
yes.
right? Like that's really
oh my God, yes.
I was just saying to Susan a couple of nights ago when we were sitting having dinner together, the first time that the 3 of us hung out, I was on the national tour of Motown.
Yes.
And we were in Nashville. And it was this moment where, I mean, we had only been friends for weeks at this point,
Yes.
really, you know?
Correct.
And you had the idea of, oh, I'm going to come. And obviously you had 2 very young children.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, what happened was
What had happened
What
was, because I was about to
happened
correct him as well.
is-
basically What I met Rob, first of all, I met Susan first. Pam Slim connected us.
Yes,
because she was looking for a lawyer because somebody
trademark attorney.
Yes, because somebody was trying to tell her something about her trademarks, and she was like, She was like, I need a lawyer.
Hyatt.
I mean, literally, Susan Clapback Hyatt. She invented the clapback. Okay, truly. I remember every time I saw her online, she was barking at somebody. Okay, letting them know she is not the one nor the two.
No.
Okay,
That part.
Not today, not any day.
Correct. So then we got introduced through Pam Slim.
Yes.
And then I did your trademarks.
Yep.
And then you had a retreat to Ireland. And I was like, I want to go. And you were like, no, you should go to Italy.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Bet. So I went to her Italy retreat, and then we just became friends from there.
Right.
And then I met Robert through like a Facebook ad, basically.
Literally.
Like he signed up for Small Business Bodyguard.
Yeah.
We were on a bonus call. And he's like, am I talking to Rachel Rodgers? And I said, yes. And he's
Awestruck.
he's like screaming. Anyway, the whole coaching call, I spent like 45 minutes just talking to him. And I was like, oh my God, I got to pay attention to some of these other clients.
But I told my boyfriend at the time, I said, she's going to be my best friend.
Isn't that crazy?
Like, that's why I always say to people,
That's
be
wild.
intentional with your words,
Yes.
right? And be intentional who you're in community with, because so many times people will go and do this coach and that coach, and it's like, no, be intentional with your community.
Now you just heard all about how to make friends in 2025 so you can enjoy your life more. Well, let me tell you where you need to go make those friends. You need to come to ROI, the Millionaire Summit. It's happening January 15th through the 17th, 2025. That's right, in just a week or so. We are getting together 500 amazing people, like-minded, sharing the same values, entrepreneurs who are looking to grow their businesses, grow their friendships, grow their money, grow the quality of their life, and we're going to talk about all of it. We have some incredible keynote speakers, amazing breakouts that are going to teach you the best ways to make money this year in your business, whether it's marketing, your offers, how to manage your money mindset. We're going to work on all of that together. So meet me there at ROI, the Millionaire Summit. It's happening in Huntington Beach, California. That's in Orange County. Be there or be square. Go to hello7.co/ROI to get all the details, and I will see you there. Yeah.
But like, I just knew it. And then this one?
I will tell you.
Come
So
on.
what happened next was then Robert invited me. He had like tickets to Alvin Ailey because, he knows all of the performers in New York City, basically. And he had tickets, and he's like, do you want to go? Because he knew that my daughter was taking classes at Alvin Ailey at the time. So I went, but I brought one of my team members with me because I was like, what if he's crazy? Yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know this man.
I don't know this man.
Okay, sorry to this man. So I brought a buffer just in case he was a little cuckoo. But he was actually delightful.
I
right?
mean, look at me.
As he is.
Okay.
You've met him.
Yes.
So we had a great time. And then after that, it was like we were just texting and connecting from there. Then, so he's on tour. And he's like, oh, my show's going to Nashville. And then y'all got connected.
He slid into my DMs.
Because you were at a weekend mastermind with her.
Oh, yes.
Oh, right.
Yes, and this is like back in the time of Facebook where we're putting things on Facebook like as it's happening.
Yes.
And I was like, who is she? Like, I love a put together woman. Okay. You give me a put together woman and I'm like, I'm in heaven.
And just so you know, in this scenario, he's not talking about me.
We're talking about Susan Hyatt.
I'm not the put together woman, okay? I'm the woman that has to be put together,
Listen.
okay? Where literally they styled me for this podcast episode.
Look at this.
They chose the dress and the earrings, okay? So they know what they're doing, okay?
Listen.
You don't even have to be stylish, just have stylish friends. See the benefits of community? Just have you looking fly.
We raise you up. Y'all didn't know y'all got a little songy song today, okay?
A little serenade.
But will we get wicked choreography?
You're just gonna have to wait till the end of this episode.
Okay,
You're
great.
gonna just
Great.
have to
Find
wait.
out,
Find
okay?
out. Stick around. So Susan slide into her DMs, and I'm like, "You are fabulous." And then she hears that you're going to Nashville.
Right.
Right, so-
Susan lives close to Nashville.
Right.
And so they thought they were going to go have a meetup without me. And I'm like, I don't think so. Okay. I don't think so. I'm coming. Okay. Meanwhile, how far away did I live? Like 9 hours?
Yeah.
Y'all got in the van.
I sure did. I was like, I told my husband, I was like, we're going to Nashville this weekend. And he's like, how long's the drive? Oh, it's just 9 hours. And that's how you know that man loves me.
Listen.
Because he's like, okay.
With all the kids.
Yeah.
We had a
Literally.
great time. We went to see him on Motown.
Yes.
Then we went to brunch. We had backstage tour.
Yeah.
Yes. All the things.
Then the next day we
Yeah.
went out to eat.
yes.
But that night at dinner after the show, y'all came to see the show. We took pictures of the backstage thing. And I remember sitting with you all. And I was like, oh, this is what showing up looks like.
Yes.
You know, because I had never had, at the time I was in my mid-20s, I didn't have friends in their 30s and their 40s that not only had the desire, but also had the means to be able to say, oh, I desire to be in Nashville and meet this new person. I can get myself there. And the fact that you didn't only show up with yourselves, which would have been more than enough, you showed up with your husband. You showed up with your husband and your kids. And
I had
it's
the whole squad.
The whole squad.
I brought the teenager and the teenager's bestie so that they could babysit the little ones. So literally. And then remember, the teenagers went to
Yes.
the Broadway Collective.
They went to the Broadway Collective the next morning.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they did the Nashville stop,
Yeah.
and they did the dance choreography. They were like, oh. They thought they were just coming to a fun little dance class,
No.
they forgot who they were dealing with, okay?
The Debbie Allen of musical theater education.
But can we talk about that for a minute? Because
Yeah.
that is effort. Like,
Right.
you drove 2 hours from your house.
Right.
Yeah.
To meet
2 and 45 minutes.
2 hours and 45 minutes to meet somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
And I had looks.
She sure did.
I packed looks.
We
sure
already
did.
know you got looks. Okay?
yeah.
You didn't need to add that, all right?
It was Valentino, if I remember.
First of all, how you remember what it was?
That dress was iconic.
Said it was Valentino.
It was.
It was.
Yeah, I was like, I
She's
want to
like,
be her friend.
I can't even lie, it was.
Yeah, that's aspirational. Because I didn't have no Valentino then. Okay.
But that, exactly. But you drove 2 hours and 45 minutes to meet somebody that you connected with online, and that you were like, I want to know more about this person.
I want to go see the show. I was like, he's fabulous.
Exactly. And then I was like, oh, we're getting together? Is that what we're doing? I'm coming.
I think her exact words were, oh, y'all aren't getting together without me.
Hello? I will not
coming.
be excluded.
I was so excited.
Yes. And so I drove 9 hours, and that didn't require a lot of money, to get in the car. It was like gas money and 2 nights of hotel. And we all packed into one hotel, which my husband, I think we got 2 rooms, actually. We got 2 rooms. But it was not a fancy thing. It was just but when you want something, you put the effort in.
Yeah.
And I think we expect things to just spontaneously happen by osmosis. And we don't realize what's required. So if you want this kind of friendship, what do they need to do, Susan? What's our first tip?
Well, I think Robert modeled the first tip, which is be willing to make the first move. So be right. And it takes vulnerability, which is one of the reasons why the epic of loneliness exists, is that people are unwilling to be vulnerable enough to make the first move.
Yes.
So making the first move means sending the text, sliding into the DMs, making the invitation.
Yes.
And
Because he invited me to Alvin Ailey, and I could have easily been like, I don't hang out with my
remember
clients.
being
Because I
nervous.
don't typically.
Yeah, I don't either.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you were willing to do that. Yeah. And potentially be rejected.
Correct.
Right. And so building up that bravery muscle to be willing to put yourself out there, reminding yourself that the result is a beautiful friendship like this. And you may get rejected. Being willing to be rejected when you make that first move is imperative. So it's developing a mindset that it's okay to be rejected, because you're just getting closer and closer to finding that friend that's going to reciprocate and also be the one to put in the effort.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good stuff.
So I think that is imperative, because most people just aren't willing to take that risk. And if you're nervous about it, some things that you can do is come up with some things that you might say to people, like, oh, I noticed you were performing in Motown. What's your favorite show you've ever done? Or come up with a way to connect with them about them and not making it about you, and then having some of the other tips about having things to invite them to, but
Exactly. And so that's our second tip. Like if you want to build friendships, this is another perfect example of how we became friends is schedule time with them. Like you have to be intentional and put the actual effort in to see your people. Otherwise those friends, like any relationship dwindles if you don't put effort into it. It's like it's like a bank and you got to make deposits regularly, you know? And if you're too focused on your individualism or too busy to be bothered with your friendships, guess what? Those friends are going to be like, okay, you ain't got time for me.
Correct.
So moving on. And then you're going to see.
They do.
Correct. And then you're going to see that they're like, you know, they're having the fun trips and they're scheduling vacations and you see in their photos and you're like, wow, I didn't get an invite. And it's like, yeah, girl.
Yeah.
And I've been there when I was too busy and, you know, and therefore I didn't have the friendships that I could have had at that time in my life. So if you want those friendships, you have to put effort in. And I heard a story told recently. Somebody was saying that like one of his mentors told him, don't just schedule a lunch with your friends. Don't just schedule like once a month, a 1 hour meetup or 1 hour lunch, because you can't go deep with people like that. Right. So like if you want them to be that show up friend that you could tell them anything, that they will always be there for you, that kind of friendship doesn't form from a 1 hour meetup. You know, that's valuable. You could start with that, but you gotta actually have overnights. Okay. Schedule slumber parties. Okay.
Yes.
So that means like you need to like go on trips together or go visit them and stay at their house. Right. Cause like when you like, we all like woke up in the same place this morning.
Correct.
And it's like Susan's scrounging around for coffee as usual.
listen,
like a little mouse scrounging in the dark.
Yeah. We
Where
know our
coffee
friend. Where the money reside.
For real. And then Robert refuses to get out of bed. Like
Correct.
It's like 15 minutes before we're supposed to walk out the door. And then he's like, okay, I think I'll get in the shower now. And then Susan wants to murder him.
Yes.
I'm actually perfect. So I don't know what I could tell you about me. I just wake up and I do what I'm supposed to do. And
She
I'm
wakes
just
up and
fucking
she
delightful.
talks too much. She wakes up and she's telling us everything instead of doing it. Get dressed.
I am actually pleading the fifth. This podcast just got freaking rude. Okay.
It's true though. It's like I talk all the way to bedtime and then I start talking the moment I wake up. It's just like, you know, this is why I was shushed a lot as a kid.
But you know what though? Here is what's magical about this is that there's healing in the small shit.
Yes.
Right? It's in the small shit. So last night, Susan goes to bed first. Okay.
Always.
It was late, okay? It was like
it was
hours
like 9:30
beyond.
She's like,
PM.
I made it to 10 p.m. If she made it to double digits, she stayed up late.
Yeah.
Okay.
We stayed up till midnight the other night. I'm still recovering. Okay, my eyes twitching.
Girl, get a banana. Okay.
If there was one.
Yo, we hungry
Start
out
with
here.
me.
Okay. Rachel got us out here in the podcast streets, honey.
Listen,
okay.
we don't eat until we've done our job.
Listen. Okay.
Not bear methodology.
Lunch is coming.
It's coming. It's on the way. But last night, Susan went to sleep. Rachel is twisting her hair, doing her twist out for this morning.
That I should have done earlier in the day, but forgot.
But you did it exactly when you were supposed to, because what you're talking about, like the lunch thing,
Yes.
right? Like there's a certain level that a conversation can go to.
Yes.
But there was a healing conversation that we needed to have last night that only would have happened if we were a little sleepy.
Yes.
And we were just sitting there and being able to support each other and see each other. And that doesn't happen at lunch. That doesn't happen at coffee. It happens in the hotel room.
Yes.
When you got your afro pick in one hand and your Miss Jessie's in the other, you know? And it's like, wow. The rest of our year,
Yes.
because of that, like,
Yes.
that release.
Yes, those deep conversations
Yeah.
happen in the liminal moments. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, so now I gotta stay up later? This is what I'm hearing.
No, but I'm also like, yesterday we went for a walk. We sat down at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
We had a good
Yeah,
cry
we
and a
did.
great, deep, beautiful
Yeah.
conversation.
We did.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, it's those in between moments. And so, like, you got to plan those, right? Like, so plan trips with your friends, even if it's going to each other's houses. Just so that you can like wake up together, go to sleep together. Like you're just spending full days together for a few days. And there's so much magic that happens there. Like I think you should be scheduling at least 2 of those a year. I prefer once a quarter. You
Once
know,
a quarter.
we
Absolutely.
get together more than that. Like
Yeah.
we're always like literally we have our dinner tonight and then we're gonna part ways tomorrow. And tonight we'll be like, okay, when's the next time we see each other?
Correct.
And we already know.
We already know.
Yeah.
It's going to be at ROI.
Yeah.
Okay.
ROI.
At the Millionaire Summit. So yes. So like, and then, you know, at ROI, we'll be like, okay, when's our next get together? And
Yeah.
if there isn't one, we'll plan one.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, we'll be like, oh, let's meet up in New York, or let's go to Great Barrington, or let's go see Susan in Indiana, right? Like let's go on. Susan's got a retreat. Let's go join
go.
her, right? Robert's
Tag
hosting
on.
an event. We're coming.
Go.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we figure it out, but we're gonna be intentional and schedule that time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's how people know that they're loved, because you're willing to get on a plane for them. You're carving
Yeah.
out the time in your schedule. Everybody here is busy and got a lot of things to do, but we're
Correct.
taking the time,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That is what I wanted to share, was this idea of how we then create community.
Yes, because I will say you are an expert at this. Like you're just naturally so good at building relationship, you know? If you walk down any street, like I have literally been in Lake Como, Italy, where none of us live, okay?
None of us.
And I'm literally like lounging at the pool at this hotel in Lake Como. And then somebody's like, Robert,
Anywhere you go, it does not matter.
it does not matter where in the world you are, like any remote location, and I guarantee you he got a friend there.
Yeah.
But I think it goes back to what Susan said. Be vulnerable enough to do, as I always say, share the power of hello.
Yes.
Right? Like we are so afraid of that rejection, which is real,
Yes.
right? But when you say hello, you begin those new connections, and you don't know what is on the other side of that hello. We
Yes.
didn't know what was on the other side
Right.
of when each of us said, hey girl, you know, and like here we are a decade later, you
Yes.
know? But I think it then, after that hello, it's like create the community. And speaking of ROI, it's the perfect place to do that.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we think that the container is the magic place. You are the magic maker, you know, because we are going to be with 500 other entrepreneurs. However, if you don't use that opportunity to create community for yourself, you will leave the same.
Yes.
Like just period, because it starts with you.
Exactly. You go to an event, and if you're at an event, you're with like-minded people, like who they connect with the brand, or they're also entrepreneurs, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like they also, whatever led them there, right? There's something you have in common. And then you go to lunch with them, like ask them to join you for lunch, ask them to go to dinner, ask them what are they working on, right?
Yeah.
And like build those friendships, because I've met a lot of people by going to events, and you got to leave the house, right? Like you're not going to make your closest friends on Zoom. Okay. Like get the hell
Yeah.
out the house sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to talk about though, Great Barrington. So y'all probably already know that Robert has an amazing TV show called Breaking New Ground on Max. And he renovated this house, moved to a town that he don't know nobody. He literally was like flipping through a magazine, was like, that's my house, went and bought it. And then like literally, how long have you lived there? A year now?
February will be 1 year. So
Only 1 year,
Yeah.
and he has community. So remember earlier I was saying it takes 2 years to build community. He's done it in 1. And I would say he did it even in an even shorter timeline than that. So I would like tell them, what are some of the things that you did to build community in your new town?
the first, be ready to leap before you feel you're ready to leap.
Yes.
Because I lived in New York City for 15 years. I had my whole community here. I had my business here. And I didn't want to give up my place here.
Yes.
But I knew that if I let it go, I would have no safety blanket.
Right.
Right. And I would just have
to
to
commit.
fucking figure that shit out.
Yes.
You know? And so I let the place go here and I said fully yes to being in Great Barrington. And when I got there, one of my neighbors, she's 75 years old. She has a dog named Sirius Brown. Okay.
The dog's name is Sirius Brown.
The dog's name is Sirius Brown.
I love it.
Okay. And honestly, at first, you're new in a new environment. And I just, it was scary, you
Yes.
know? And I saw her at the grocery store one day and she said something I will never forget. She said, "Robert, you've got to be a neighbor."
Ooh.
And she just went on about her day. And I mean, I literally have chills right now.
Okay,
I said,
Serious Brown's mom.
Yeah. Serious Brown's mom came through with bars that day. She said, be a neighbor. Don't like try and do, no, be it. Like actively be it. And so I said, all right, there's evidence all around that people want to be my neighbor.
Yes.
There had already been a couple of DMs. There had been people that had like dropped off notes and things at my mailbox. And so I just started replying to people,
Yes.
And then they would say, oh, come over for dinner. Or I think one of the biggest shifts was there is a restaurant in Great Barrington, one of my favorite restaurants called Prairie Whale.
I love that place.
I know.
So good.
We
It's
love
so
the Prairie
good.
Whale. When y'all come to Great Barrington, come meet me at Prairie Whale. And I remember during the winter, they had every Friday night a showing of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes.
Okay. And I remember getting in my car and driving over there and like plopping down, to this big table with nobody that I knew. And I said, Robert, what would you tell your client right now? And I would say hello.
Yes.
Like say hello and then be an active participant in the conversation and listen and then follow up. Right.
Yes.
So I knew that one of the guys there, was an art teacher. And I was like, okay. And his students had an upcoming art show at the local college. So I made a point to go to that art show, right? And did I love the art? No, not really. You know what I mean? But I loved the feeling of showing up for him and showing him that like, hey, you mean something to me already. And like building community means something to me. And that moment really it shifted how I began to grow community. And from him, I started to meet other people, to the point where this morning I've been away from home for a couple of days and I now have texts from neighbors who are like, hey, we haven't seen your car.
Yes.
You good?
Yeah. Now you got people looking out for you.
You're like, I got homies. Okay. I have homies. And it's like, but you have to be the person that says hello and that commits to the vulnerable action of surrendering to community.
Yes.
Because it's there for you when you least expect it, because I'm single and I go out to dinner a lot by myself. And so there are people that then just come up and they're like, it's so good to see you, and so I meet friends and people in that way as well. And I think because going back to what we were talking about earlier, this idea of being an individual, it begins with us. If we begin normalizing saying hello to strangers and just being what we like to call humans, I think our lives, our families, our businesses will be the better for it.
I completely agree. I so agree. And the other thing too, Susan, you've always talked about how like you moved to a small town in the Midwest. You're from the South. That's not like, that was not your hometown.
Right.
And you were like, my people aren't here for the longest.
Oh, I mean, I sang that sad song. I mean, for years, I was like, we have to move. And I would spend all my time researching places, like you were saying, where I could go where my people were.
Right.
And the moment I decided, I was like, okay, we're not leaving.
Right.
So I'm going to decide that instead of this isn't my city, this is my city.
Right.
And my people will show themselves. And one by one, I started, like my friend Stacy, who was a yoga instructor, saw an ad that I had taken out in Evansville Living. And she reached out to me and I'm like, here's somebody like-minded.
Yes.
And then from there, I started to build a community of people who were like-minded and who were awesome. And if I wanted to, I could have even more friends locally.
Yes.
Because there are amazing people everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think if you have the attitude that these aren't my people or this town stinks or nobody wants to
That's
get
what
together,
you're gonna get.
That's what you're going to get.
And trust me, there's somebody else out there who also thinks that town stinks, and that could be your friend.
Exactly.
And then y'all could just be the ornery ladies together. Like, we hate it here. This place is stupid.
And the thing I want to say too about creating community and creating places for people to gather is to remember that the idea is it's not to impress, it's to connect.
Yes.
Right? And so you can have a casual book club. Yes. You could have like, let's go to yoga and then afterwards go to sweaty brunch. Yes. Right? Like it doesn't have to be this fancy produced thing
Yes.
for you to make friends. It could be super cash.
Exactly. And I love that you're always doing gatherings. Like every year you're always doing your like Galentine's brunch at your house.
Yep.
And then you do a vision
yes
board
bash.
party at the end of the year.
Yep.
Yes. And like, exactly. Like you've hosted events for your clients in Evansville, Indiana. And it's like, yeah, find your way here.
Yeah.
I know you never heard of it. Figure out where it is.
It's a regional airport. Okay? And guess what? Once you get there, I'm going to show you every fabulous spot. There's only a handful.
But she going to show them to
I'm
you.
going to show them to you, and you're going to have a good time. To the point that people are like, I don't know why you say negative things. This is a delightful town. I'm like,
you were
you've seen
here.
everything good, including my house. Okay,
A weekend.
come back though.
I love it. Listen, it's so good.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've taught y'all how to not be lonely. Y'all don't have that excuse no more. Okay?
That part.
Yes. So our tips for you are, one, being vulnerable. You got to be willing to like put some effort in and just the power of hello. Use the power of hello, you know, notice something on somebody and be like, oh, I love those earrings. Those are so cute. Where'd you get those? Right. And like from there, you could spark a whole conversation.
Yeah.
Do you have other openers that you use?
You know, wait, before we go to openers, I just have one little thing to say. Because
Tell me.
I love what you're talking about, Susan, and I keep thinking about ROI.
Yes.
Right? Like this container we're all getting ready to go be at. And I want to invite you to not be thirsty. Right? To not be thirsty. But
yes.
to trust that you are enough and to trust that you're going to attract and get everything that you are supposed to get. And I think sometimes when we go to those business events, it's like, I gotta get my business card out to put your business card away.
Right. No one cares. They want to actually connect with you as a human, you know?
Right. You know? And so a way to do that is, you know, we're all on the app before we get there. Start friending people and start seeing like, oh, who's doing what track and who's excited for what,
Yes.
you know, and then you have something to look forward to. And I think energetically, that's going to be such a magnet for who you're supposed to meet and what you're supposed to get versus like this scarce mindset that I have to walk away with X, Y, and Z.
It's so true. I will say too, like the moment you go into fangirl, right? Like Susan, I think you've experienced this many times too. Like as soon as you act like a fangirl or a fan person, you take yourself out of the runnings for a friendship because it's hard to be friends with someone who's just in awe of you. That's a beautiful thing. And it's like, we have gratitude for that. Right. But like, as soon as you put yourself like, so I've literally been preparing for the day that I meet Beyonce for years. And I'll be like, hey girl, right? Like, that's what I need. I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to pass out and then we're never going to be friends. That's just the truth of the matter.
I rebuke that in the name of Beyonce Giselle Carter.
You know, I just know that about myself. However, and I met someone this year that I'm a fan of their work. And I was like, I'm going to play it cool. I'm going to go in friendship vibes. Y'all, the way that I did not do that, the way I was a total nerdy fangirl,
I mean,
I'm like embarrassed for how I behave. And like I rehearsed it in my mind while I was online to meet them. And then I get there. I had a friend who knew both parties, who literally gave me like the one up, right? Like gave me like the intro, and I still fumbled the ball. So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad if you can't help yourself. Like some people we're just fans of, and we're not gonna be able to be friends with them.
it's all right.
It's okay. It's okay. We got the same thing going too. But if you approach yourself as a peer, then you're gonna be treated like a peer.
Right.
If you approach yourself as like,
Well,
you know,
dehumanizes the person.
that's what it is. It's not that we don't like you.
Yeah,
You know?
it's dehumanizing to be put on a pedestal in a way that feels, it doesn't feel good.
Yes. It doesn't feel like a genuine connection. Like somebody loves your work and that's amazing, but you are not your work.
Yeah.
Right? So like you want your work to be appreciated, but also you just want to be a human. Right? And so like, right, when you're put on a pedestal, it's kind of like, oh, now I'm like, it takes you out of being human. And now you're like, okay, now I need to be this image that they have of me so that like, I don't ruin it for them. You know what I mean?
I remember an example that comes to mind is back in the day, I was at an event charged with being Martha Beck's handler. And this was a huge event where she was a keynote speaker and I was just her wing woman. And one of my jobs was to protect her energy and her and I had to escort her to the restroom and stand in front of the stall because there were women trying to talk to her under the door while she was trying to go to the restroom. And I just stood there in that moment and I was like, this ain't it. Like, she not signing your book now.
Let the woman pee.
Right.
Okay?
I was like, everybody out. I mean, I got to be the bad cop, right? But I just think it's like, really, if you want to connect with someone, you have to think of them as a human being.
Right. And treat them like a human. Treat them like an actual friend, right? So like if they're eating, say your hello, but let them eat. You know what I mean? Like they're like, listen, I'd love to talk to you, but this salad is calling me because I'm hangry right now. So like...
Which is actual facts.
Actual facts. It's so true. It's so true. So your approach matters. And one of the other things that I will say too about ROI that I love, that I think differentiates it from other events, is that we have something called brain dates. So we actually turn every attendee into a possible host, right? So like you get to practice being a host and potentially meet other people. So like if you're like really interested in collecting art, you could be like new art collectors meetup, right? And like you could invite people, right? In the app, people will come to your meetup. And then we provide a space and you get to like host a group and just have a conversation with them about anything, you know? So I remember there was like meetups around new moms. There was meetups around people who are grieving, right? Like there's meetups around so many different scenarios, not just your business. That's the other thing. Don't become a business automaton where like you only talk business and nothing else.
It's exhausting.
It's a lot. It's like people want to connect with your humanity first, then they'll get interested in your work, but like they need to connect with you as a human first. You know? So, I mean, there you have it. Okay. If you don't got friends after this, you don't want them. Okay.
Was it healing? Point to where you feel healed.
I won't answer.
Enough from you. Okay. Go get you some friends.
Go get you some friends in 2025. Okay. Because I tell you what, like they just make life so much more enjoyable. Okay. Literally every single day. None of us live in the same place, but we're on Vox every day. Yeah. And if somebody's not on Vox, we're like, we need proof of life.
Yeah, POL. Yeah. POL.
Yeah. I don't care what you're up to. I need you to reply to this outfit.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like, reply to this outfit. Correct. Something terrible happened? Oh, no. You're not going to go in your corner and cry. You're going to tell us about it so we can be there for you. Yeah. Okay? Like nobody, no friend left behind.
Yeah. And that's what's special about going deep versus wide, right? It's like you then earn that ability and that trust to be like, no, I have room for this. Yes. And you know you're safe and supported here.
Exactly. And you can share your most vulnerable, most embarrassing. I mean, we've had some horrifically embarrassing moments.
Oh, God. No lentils in 2025.
First of all, I can have lentils.
We are not supposed to be talking about this. See, he's violated now.
People
See, I have to rethink my boundaries with you now. Yes, there's been some robe incidents over the years.
Right. I think we should be wrapping this episode up now, okay? Because I want to keep it clean.
There's been some things. So when you can share your lowest moments, your most embarrassing moments, your biggest fumbles and biggest mistakes, it takes you out of shame. Yes. When you can be like, I screwed this up. And you have friends who can be like, yeah, girl, you did, but that's okay. We still love you and you're going to be all right. You know what I mean? Like, it's a game changer. Yeah. It's a life changer. Yeah. So go get you some friends in 2025. That's what we want for you. Okay. What about your friend?
Okay. We'll see y'all soon.
We'll see y'all soon.
Hey, do you enjoy money? I do. If you want to make more money, then you need to join We Should All Be Millionaires, the club. Go to hello7.co/club to see everything you get once you become a member. hello7.co/club. In the club, we teach you how to maximize your earning potential, how to make better financial and business decisions, how to set up systems so that you're building wealth over time. We keep you focused on your financial and business goals, and we do fun activities throughout the year to keep you motivated. During our last money-making challenge, our club members earned a grand total of $3,519,262.66. Okay? $3.5 million as a community. That's a lot of money, y'all. If you want to get in on this, go to hello7.co/club and become a member.